Retirement has a way of making you look ahead, but also look back at the life you've built, the people you loved, the hard seasons you survived, the sacrifices you've made, the versions of yourself you had to become. And writing this book brought all of that to the surface. Thought writing a book for my family, a way to preserve stories, memories, pieces of life I didn't want to lose. But somewhere along the way, I realized I may have been writing something for myself. Because as retirement gets closer, I've already found myself reflecting on life differently. And when you start telling the story of your life, you realize just how much history lives inside you. And I didn't expect that to feel so emotional. Hi, I'm Glenda. I am getting closer to retirement, and I have been sharing this season in real time, not as an expert, but as someone who is actually living through it. If you're new here, I just want to say welcome. And if you've been coming back each week, I'm really so glad you're here. If you're in this season too, grab your coffee and sit with me for a minute. This is Second Act Studio, where your next chapter starts now. So lately, I have been working on something deeply personal, my legacy book. A place to preserve my family stories, memories, lessons, moments that might otherwise just be lost. I thought this would mostly feel creative, reflective, maybe even kind of fun. Oh, but instead, it stirred up something I did not expect. Because maybe this is part of getting closer to retirement. Because retirement has a way of making you look ahead, but also look back at the life you've built, the people you loved, the hard seasons you survived, the sacrifices you've made, the versions of yourself you had to become. And writing this book brought all of that to the surface. Because when you start looking back over your life, you start asking bigger questions. What mattered? What changed me? What did I survive? And what did I sacrifice? What parts of myself did I set aside just to keep life moving? And I think retirement makes those questions land just a little differently, because lately I've been talking a lot here about my impending retirement, about what feels real, what I'm preparing for, and what I'm letting go of. But this legacy book made me realize something else and something a little deeper. Retirement isn't just about what comes next. Sometimes it makes you think about what's remaining. I found myself thinking about legacy, and not in a financial sense, not about wills, not about the paperwork, but something so much more human. What remains? What stories matter enough to pass on? What parts of me live beyond my job title, my routines, my responsibilities? And I'll be honest, it brought up thoughts about time and what we leave behind that I wasn't expecting. Not in a scary way, but in a deep, meaningful way. Because I think at some point, many of us naturally start asking, what am I leaving behind? But here's what surprised me. That didn't make me feel sad. It made me feel awake. Because as retirement gets closer, I am realizing this season isn't only about endings. It's about meaning and about what still matters. It's about what we carry forward. And Maybe legacy isn't just what we leave behind, but maybe it's what we still choose to create, what we connect with, and what we share, what we make time with, and what we finally make time for. And honestly, that feels pretty important right now. So I'm curious, has anything in this season of life unexpectedly made you reflect this way about meaning, legacy, what remains, and what still matters? Because I would genuinely love to hear from you. And if you're walking through this season as well, you are welcome here and you are completely in the right place. I'm Glenda. This is Second Act Studio, where your next chapter starts now. If this conversation resonated with you, I think you'll really connect with this next video about how retirement started changing me before I expected it to. I'll link it here. And if this season of life feels familiar, I'd love to have you here. I'll see you in the next video.